Maybe you've had moments in the midst of conversations with people, and you've heard that old phrase, the best laid plans of mice and men sometimes go astray. Well, sometimes things don't always work out the way you want them to, right? Maybe you've had someone say to you in the aftermath of a plan that's gone south, if you'd listened to me, things would have turned out differently. I suppose I guess it's okay if that's the way you like that. If you take my advice next time, of course, things will turn out better, right? Yeah, you always get the finger pointing going along with that too. It's how that is sometimes. And maybe right now at that moment, you're thinking, I'd like to pick up the pieces. I don't necessarily need this going on. Sometimes the tone of voice can make it hard to hear the things that are being given. Maybe they're otherwise good pieces of information, good advice, but just it's not being brought to someone in the right way. It's things like this that go wrong every now and then. I heard a story once that I thought was helpful. The late actor John Spencer was telling this story about how at twilight this man went out for a walk and he fell into a deep pit. And as the darkness was growing, this other man came by and he called out to him and he said, "Oh, I'll help you. I'm going to get a rope." But he just disappeared into the darkness and didn't come back. A little later on, someone came by and he said, "Oh, I'll be glad to help. Let me go get a ladder." But neither the man nor the ladder appeared later on. And then he's kind of calling out and he hears a familiar voice. It's a friend of his. "Tommy, is that you?" "Yeah, Jack. Hey, I can help." And he jumps into the hole with him. And the guy says, "You jumped into the hole with me. How are you going to help me?" He said, "I've been here before. I know the way out." Here we are near the end of ordinary time, and we find out ways that can help us. During this segment of ordinary time, it seems like as the Gospels have been going on, Jesus is giving the disciples some guidance, and the guidance is becoming progressively more challenging. Last week Jesus dropped it on them. Not only do you love your neighbor, love your enemy. You pray for your neighbor, pray for your enemy too. Things that are hard to hear. Things are hard to hear in the mind. Things are hard to live out every day. We have these experiences in the gospel, and we wonder, how do we make sense of the things Jesus is talking about? Can the blind lead the blind? Well, no, they'll just fall into the pit. But isn't it good to know that, even if we fall into a pit and we think we're by ourselves, know that the Lord is there with us. And Jesus has been there before and he'll lead us out. He'll lead us to life, to death, to new life. Jesus will give us the guidance we need to change our hearts from the inside out, that we can be a people who, learn how to overcome, how to find the right way, how to make the best of all that we encounter each day. Jesus, in the gospel today, in this part of Luke's gospel, he tells us, let's say, that perhaps judging other people and judging situations is not the way to go. All that talk about telling someone to take the speck out of their eye when there's this massive beam in their own eye, do they have a full vision of what's going on? Can they see into the heart and soul? Not if their vision's obstructed. What if we remove the beam from our eye, and then could we together see what is needed? Together follow where Jesus takes us to another place, takes us to another level, takes us where we need to go. We're together sharing, walking, listening, reaching out, serving. We can bring God's word to others, not judgment. It's interesting that we have to think about what's inside of us. And just as Jesus saying in the parable talks about the experience of the fruit. I don't have fruit trees in my backyard, do you? Me neither. But all that talk about, you don't pick figs from a thistle tree. You don't take grapes from a bramble. Good fruit comes from what's within the plant. Can we think about letting Jesus into our lives fully, that we can bear good fruit? And in the midst of bearing good fruit, We can come to enjoy this fruitfulness ourselves and perhaps even enjoy it more by sharing with others. May we take this opportunity to offer what Jesus is guiding us in and remember that Jesus takes us where we need to go. Even if we think we're at the bottom of a pit, even if we think we are lost, Jesus will take us where we need to go because he will bless us and form us along the way. Rejoice and be glad, for Jesus knows the way out, knows the way through life, through death, into new life. He knows how to lead us. And that is good because he knows how to take us right to the Father.